Sometimes you just gotta make them bite.
Oh, there he is. Look at that. Great big one. Ooh.
This spot's gotta have fish. Ah, got him. Good one, boy. Good one.
There we go. There, got him. Nice fish.
That did not take too long.
They say what goes up must come down. And when it comes to water levels, they're like nature's own personal roller coaster. Some lakes experience drastic seasonal changes in water level. Deep reservoirs often drop many feet in level from the highs of spring runoffs to the lows of winter drawdown. Rivers generally run flush with spring snowmelt and rainwater, only to slow and recede to modest levels by summer. Natural lakes usually experience less dramatic highs and lows, with fluctuations of a few feet typical during normal weather conditions. Yet unusually wet or dry years may force both fish and fishermen to adjust locations accordingly. Today, on The Edge, we see how high water levels in spring cause bass to shift shallower throughout their spawning cycle, spreading into areas left high and dry in preceding years.
We're so far back in on the lake that we're on and the system that we're on, there's nobody poking around back here.
Then, we seek out deep holes and cover that draw river catfish during the low to moderate water levels of late summer, creating a proverbial fish in a barrel syndrome for clustered cats.
Put the right bait out, and you can have just stellar days of catching lots of fish like this.
It's all about how fish and fishermen react to the highs and lows of water level fluctuation, and what a wild ride it can become.
A hot stick today with these babies.
High water fishing does not have to be looking for the proverbial needle in a haystack if you know what to look for. Boy, look at that. That's a gorgeous smallmouth.
From a bass's perspective, high water equates to new opportunities. Places that were once for the birds and squirrels are now expanded hunting grounds with lots of cover for safety and places to ambush prey. From an angler's perspective, it's that needle in the haystack thing. A daunting task of a whole lot of new ground to cover.
Big bass. Yeah, that's a good one there. Look at that one. Oh, big, nice one.
Nice.
Oh, whoa, look, oh,
Two
look
of-
at
there's
that. He
two
had
of 'em.
another with him.
There's two of them.
Oh,
Another
come
big
here.
largemouth.
Yeah, look at that. Nice fish.
I seen
Oh,
that other one.
Come here. Look at that guy there. That's a good one. Come on. Look at that.
There we go.
Oh, look at that one there, Al. Oh, come here. Oh, man. He had a buddy with him. Look at that. That's a nice one. Right now, Al and I are on a lake that's actually about 3 to 4 foot high, and we're gonna look at strategies for catching both largemouth and smallmouth bass out of high water conditions. We'll get her back in the water. So many people would have the tendency to, you know, when you see those big fields of wood, to go flipping through there, but realistically, a lot of times the real key is to get back where you don't have so much inundated, flooded cover. You can actually access the fish with the, as you see here, the sharper banks, and where you're fishing directly on the hard bank is one of the real keys.
In a lot of environments where you get real high water from rains or meltdown or something like that, the river itself turns really dark. And if you got creeks or feeder creeks coming in, they're pouring mud in. What we do in a lot of these conditions, you get to these dead-end coves with a lot of cover way, way back. And they're still kind of clear. This is some of the clearer water that we found. There's no runoff here at all. There's no creeks coming in, nothing to dirty this stuff up. And these are sometimes the kind of spots that are sitting and holding the largemouth. Smallmouth are a little bit different. Oh, got him, Jim. Feels good.
Big boy. Ooh.
Yeah. Oh, man.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. Nice one, Jim. Man. Come on, Mama.
Was he way back there?
Yeah. Way up on, way inside. There's another one of them big gals. Look at that. You mix some of these size blacks up back in here. We're so far back in on the lake that we're on and the system that we're on, there's nobody poking around back here. Spring is unquestionably the one time a year that anglers across the country face high water conditions. Water fluctuations in lakes, rivers, and reservoirs can drastically affect the location of all fish in any system. Today we're fishing a natural lake that is 3 feet above normal pool levels. Interestingly, the smallmouth bass that we usually find on main lake points at this time are now concentrated further back into the bays where we usually catch largemouth bass. A big portion of the largemouth are even further back into regions of water that is normally unnavigable.
You know, electronics are really key tools for finding fish. You know, on this particular unit, my 1197, I have XM weather, down imaging, side imaging, but one really cool feature that they put in here with Lake Master's maps is water level offset. And what I can do is actually adjust my depth on my map. In this case, we're at 3 feet high on this lake. So what I'm gonna do is set my offset by 3 feet, add 3 feet, and it'll correspondingly change the rest of the map so it's accurate. It can be really beneficial for anybody who has any type of water fluctuations on their lakes.
It's interesting when you get really high water conditions like this, even the smallmouth, which are normally in this body of water, main lake related, have left that main lake. They know that those water levels are high. They know that there's water running in. They instinctively are getting out of the main lake and moving back into these flooded brush areas. All the fish are doing that. The main lake areas that sometimes would hold fish that look so good, that's nothing. You got to get way back in these protected bays and be able to access. Rocks are a key point too, like we got some of these rock walls. But even the smallmouth are moving into largemouth water.
That little pack of smallmouths there, I'm actually throwing that bigger jig. Actually, if there's a school of smallmouths here, we could actually slow down with some, the tube might be a better choice.
We'll roll around and go back through it again. This whole shoreline here is good. Now see, that's all the ledge is still out here, Jim.
There's one. There's one. Oh, boy, they just hammered it. Yeah. This actually makes sort of sense. What we have here is actually there's a little lip or hard, clean rocks and sand that sticks out off the tip of this point. But you can see all that flooded cover up on the point itself, and it's actually quite deep up in there. It's, 3 to 4 feet actually flooded way back up inside the trees and the brush. Boy, look at that, that's a chunky one. Boy, there's a nice school of smallmouths on this spot.
Today we're catching both large and smallmouth bass on a number of different baits. Trigger X lizards are key spring baits, particularly for largemouth. We'll fish them both Texas rigged and on VMC jig heads, depending on if we're fishing subsurface wood or rocks. A Terminator swim jig dressed with a flapping craw has been really hot today for both the largemouth and really big smallies. It's a great bait for slow rolling retrieves over expansive flats. Baits like the Trigger X flutter worm is another go-to bait for these moody spring bass. We'll usually rig these wacky style, weedless, or on a VMC Dominator jig head and fish them with slow to intermediate dead sticking retrieves. It's important to note that we're fishing relatively clear water, and water clarity will often dictate our lure selection. In many high water situations, the water will be fairly dirty, where spinnerbaits, crankbaits, and rattlebaits will be a critical part of your arsenal. That school is here. Got him again?
Yeah, there's one. Brown.
Oh, man.
Pretty big brown one. Goes to show you, even, we're talking about these high water conditions, it's, both for smallmouth and largemouth, the same thing sort of goes into effect. In the fact that a lot of times what you're trying to find is areas when you look at all this flooded cover and you think that the fish should be anywhere, but a lot of times you're looking for clean, more open water area, actually exposed areas.
Oh, you got another one?
Oh. Oh.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Boy, look at the size of that thing. Boy, is that a little tank.
It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Yours is better, though. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a mule. Ooh, I love it. I love it, James.
Oh, there's a big one now.
Big.
Yeah, large.
That's a big black one.
Is that a largemouth?
I think the big black one.
No,
Is it brownie again?
it's a big brown bass. Yes, big
And what's
smallmouth.
black?
Whether you're fishing for smallmouth or largemouth,
That's a big fish, boy. Ooh.
High water fishing does not have to be looking for the proverbial needle in a haystack if you know what to look for. Boy, look at that. That's a gorgeous smallmouth.
One thing about rivers, they rarely stay the same for long. Low and clear one day, high and muddy the next. Each time on a river is a new experience, a new investigation in tracking down cat locations.
I'm really looking forward for the day. Right now, Dan Sura and I are on what you'd call a classic small river. Right in this particular river, it has fantastic catfishing. This is very similar to catfishing all across North America.
And one of the big things is finding the proper spots to fish. And what we're doing is we're using the Humminbird side imaging. And in a dark water river like this, log jams, rocks, and the places that collect catfish are really hard to see. So the side imaging, moving slowly down the middle of the river, we can check from bank to bank, move slowly, and James can pinpoint and save those spots that have the collections of wood and rock that we want to come back on and fish later in the day. So let's get scouting, James.
For river catfish throughout the summer months, the real keys are three specific things. Depth, meaning holes, current, and wood. You find those three things together, that's the key to finding catfish throughout the summer months in these small rivers. So what we're going to do is run upriver here for maybe 3-4 miles, isolate some really key locations, and then fish back downriver over those spots.
In this 4-mile section of river, we've isolated some really interesting spots. 2 bridges with distinct holes, cover, and current. We've also isolated 2 key corner bends with good wood, depth, and current. We're going to start in a hole just downstream from an expansive shallow flat. Shallow barrier areas like this are great collection spots for river cats.
I've been working out 3 days a week just to be Mr. Lindner's anchor boy for this cat wrangle.
Well, if you start folding up on me, I'll take command of the anchor, depending on how many times we have to anchor. There's a good one there. Oh, what?
Finally.
What?
Finally.
No, the whole key is the hook setting right now. That's a better one there. Come here, buddy. Yeah. Come here. Thing is with these fish, in any type of river situation, current is so critical, and that's what we're actually setting up in really distinct spots where you have forced current flow, and you can see what we're fishing, these log jams, and you're positioning that bait right upstream, and that scent, dissipates back down in those log jams. And what's really incredible is how fast the fish come out and find the bait. It's really unbelievable. That's a little bit better one. There we go. Come here, buddy.
There you go, Jim.
There you go. Now that's what we're talking about. That's a pretty nice one for a small river cat. That's about classic catfishing in small rivers all across North America. Look at that beautiful fish. They're tough, I can tell you one thing. And the way we're fishing them with medium to heavy action bass gear. And that's perfect for hooking and landing them. You'll see we're catching some small ones
but you're hooking some of those bigger ones when they get that size, and a little bit, maybe it's up to about 12 pounds. You're gonna need this type of equipment to pull them out of there.
Fresh piece of sucker meat really helps too, rebaiting every few minutes.
Rig every time. Here, let me grab the net here.
Yeah, you gotta have a little bit of a drag set here. Make sure it's set properly.
It's about time.
Yeah, I think so.
I know they've really been beating you up. You finally got the timing down on the hook set, and it's really seems like you pulled up. And yeah, the other thing, I think it's also just getting where the bigger fish are at. You know what I mean? We started at the head of this hole, moved into a number of different anchor positions, and fan casting. And it seems like this is the core of the hole, the best cover here. Granted, the biggest cats in this particular section of the river.
Kind of handsome, isn't he?
Yeah.
When you look at him.
You know, one thing that's sort of important is actually matching the right tackle for the given situation you're fishing. You know, in the past, we've shot a lot on the Red River on the North Dakota, Minnesota border, and it's got just gigantic catfish. And you're fishing a deeper water situations, you're throwing heavier baits, 2 to 4 ounces because of the current. And we're using really heavy duty, almost like musky type present rods and reels. But for the small fishing situations, small river fishing situations we're fishing here, what we're doing is using heavy duty bass gear. This is a 7.6 medium heavy Quantum Tour Edition rod, which is matched with an Accurist reel, 25-pound test Suffolk Siege, brilliant tangerine color. And the thing is it's 7 foot in length, and the length is important for a couple of different reasons. Number one is to get the bait a long distance away from the boat. It's, believe it or not, even as the dark water conditions, you'd think that these fish wouldn't be very spooky at all. They are. And the longer distance you get away from the boat, the more bites you will catch. I'm absolutely convinced on it with a lot of experience doing that. The other thing is the ability to hook the fish at long distance, you know what I mean? We have like 1.5 ounce weight here. You know, with this rig, when you get a strike and it's out, you know, 75 feet away from the boat, to be able to pick up that line and hook the fish. And then not only that, once you hook the fish, is to literally bulldog the fish out of, a lot of times you're fishing around relatively heavy cover. But this is a good match for small river catting.
Today we're using the classic cat rig, which consists of a sinker, barrel swivel, and a short leader, and a hook baited with fresh cut sucker. We carry a wide variety of sinkers ranging from 1 1/2 ounce to 5 ounce for fast deep water situations. We also carry a good selection of VMC octopus hooks. Hooks range in size from 2/0 to 7/0 depending on the size of the cats we're hunting.
I know one thing, to catch more catfish, you're far and away better off to fish directly in back of the boat. And let me explain why. You flip the bait out, and I let it sink down to the bottom like this. I'll let it sink down to the bottom right about there. But what I'm going to do is reel up the snell really tight to the sinker, and the sinker is pinned on the bottom. And then what I do is just back off a little bit, and what that's going to cause is a little bit of a bow in my line. What happens is a lot of times the catfish will come up and pick up the bait, and that little bow in the line will really dictate that I have a strike. Like right there, you can see where the fish hit it. But what the fish don't do is feel any changes of weight. It seems like catfish are real sensitive to that, particularly channel catfish. When they pick it up and they feel erratic drag on the bait, they'll spit it out right away. So what it is, it's a real critical that you do that. So,
that was pretty impressive. I just missed one there.
You see what I mean? It's really, that is the art of, it's a little thing about catfishing, but I tell you one thing, it really helps me catch a lot more fish. There you go, come here, buddy. Come here. They're fun, they really are. Real bulldogs. And the biggest thing is, you get in so many of these different systems. You know, rivers are real interesting in the fact that they're tremendously fertile. The carrying capacity of a river, you know, per acre is far and away more than in most lakes or reservoirs. So you have a lot of fish in them, thousands of fish in them. The carrying capacity is just so above and beyond the fertility of these systems.
A hot stick today with these babies. They like you.
There's no question about it. River catfishing is really phenomenal all over the country, and it's relatively simplistic. If you look at the basics of what we did, find holes, cover, and current. Put the right bait out, and you can have just stellar days of catching lots of fish like this. What do you think about that guy?
I'm impressed.
We'll get her back in the water.
If giant catfish prowl your local waters, Catfish Wrangling details the proper rigging, bait, tackle, and fishing strategies for going toe-to-toe with big cats on the line. It's part of our Angling Edge instructional DVD collection, available at anglingedge.com.
This is a Bible, and this is a cell phone. Like everyone else, this tool for my modern lifestyle has become almost indispensable. I'm moving around all the time, and it was not that many years ago that I could remember keeping loads of change in order to stop at phone booths. By the way, something that practically doesn't exist any longer. I got to wondering what would happen if we treated our Bibles just like we treated our cell phones. What if we carried it in our pockets or purses all day long? What if we flipped through it several times a day and checked for messages? What if we turned back to get it if we forgot it? What if we gave it as a gift to our kids so they could keep in contact? Come to think of it, when compared to cell phone bills, the Bible is way more economical. Jesus paid the price for it a long, long time ago. Well, that's it from everyone here at The Edge. And next time you're on the water, have a safe and blessed time.
I sure want to take an opportunity to thank all our sponsor partners for making this show possible. And if you like what you see, let them know and support them. For more information, visit us at our website, anglingedge.com, and thanks for watching.